Key Action 2 Strategic Partnerships for Youth video. We will aim to introduce this key action and give applicants some points of reference that can be used when applying for funding. Key Action 2 Strategic Partnerships aims to develop initiatives addressing one or more fields of education, training and youth, and to promote innovation, exchange of experience and know-how between different types of organisations. In order to be eligible to apply for funding, a project should address at least one horizontal priority or one field-specific priority. You can now see on the screen Key Action 2 horizontal priorities as well as the 2019 specific priorities for the field of youth. Please refer to page 105 of the programme guide for more specific information. Applicants can select a partnership project for the exchange of good practices or to support innovation. This would depend on the objectives of the project, the participating organisations involved, and the expected impact. Strategic partnerships can be of different sizes and adapt their activities accordingly. Strategic partnerships supporting exchange of good practice have a primary goal of allowing organisations to develop and reinforce networks, increase their capacity to operate at a transnational level, and to share and confront ideas, practices and methods. For strategic partnerships supporting innovation, projects are expected to develop innovative outputs and engage in intensive dissemination or exploitative activities of existing and newly produced products or innovative ideas. Applicants can request a dedicated budget for intellectual outputs and multiplier events in order to directly answer to the innovation aspect of this key action. Here on the screen you can see the programme countries. The applicant for Key Action 2 must be an organisation established in a programme country. Strategic partnerships aim to target the cooperation between organisations established within programme countries. Organisations from partner countries can be involved in a strategic partnership as partners but not as applicants, if their participation brings an essential added value to the project. This would need to be justified clearly within the narrative sections of the form. All Key Action 2 projects are led by an organisation. Individuals cannot apply directly for a grant. A staff member can complete the application form on behalf of their organisation. However, the project remains the organisation's responsibility, even if that staff member leaves the organisation. Whilst your project may involve a number of organisations, only the lead organisation of the partnership should submit an application. This submission is made on behalf of the whole partnership. Project partners do not need to submit the same application to their own national agency. Youth projects are multi-beneficiary grants. This means that if your project is funded, the lead organisation will receive the contract and funds. The lead organisation is advised to then organise inter-organisation agreements with partners. The deadline for applications is Tuesday the 5th of February at 11 AM UK time. It is important that you submit your application well in advance of this deadline. We cannot accept late applications. Anything submitted after 11 AM UK time will be considered late and ineligible. By submitting early, you allow yourself time to contact us and for us to have time to support you with any issues. Please do not leave it until the last minute to submit your application form. An Erasmus Plus grant is made up of different budget categories, which make up your total grant amount. The shown budget categories are project management and implementation. These funds will automatically be added to your grant total as it is calculated according to the length of your project. You can see on screen the wide variety of activities that it can be used for. Transnational project meeting funds can be applied for, however you would need to justify the need for the meetings in terms of numbers of meetings and participants involved. Meetings should be limited where virtual cooperation would not be sufficient. The next two budget categories are intellectual outputs. These are activities that require substantial staff input in order to produce tangible and significant outputs. Separate funding can be requested to cover the production of such intellectual outputs. You will need to demonstrate clearly the concrete outputs and the related effort put into producing them. The outputs should be innovative and creative and be developed with a clear aim of transferability or usability to organisations other than those participating in the project. Please note that it is only considered an intellectual output if proven they can be a wider use and exploitation as well as for impact. Staff working for the organisation on the basis of a service contract are not considered as staff of the organisation concerned. Their working time can therefore not be claimed under intellectual outputs. Multiplier events are only available to those projects that are producing intellectual outputs. The aim of a multiplier event is to share intellectual outputs to individuals and organisations outside of the Erasmus Plus project. Multiplier events should disseminate and increase the impact of intellectual outputs. Other dissemination activities will be supported via project management and implementation. Multiplier events are events organised by the partnership that are directly associated to one or more of the intellectual outputs developed through the work of the project. These events can be organised at a national or transnational level, but can only take place in the programme countries in which the beneficiaries are located. Both the profile and number of participants will have to be justified, as well as the approach to attract and involve the relevant external organisations and stakeholders. These two budget categories are based on real costs. Before applying for these costs, it is important to consider if what you are applying for is eligible, has it been justified within the application, and does it demonstrate value for money. The awarding of exceptional costs is not a given, and clear justification must be given within the application. Exceptional costs are based on actual costs and must be supported by invoices and receipts at final report stage. Please ensure you clearly reference a section of the form where justification is given for each exceptional cost that is being requested. Before requesting these costs, please check whether they can be covered under any other budget category. Exceptional costs can be requested only if they are critical to the success of the project. Exceptional costs, if eligible, can provide up to a maximum of 75% of the real cost of services, goods or items that would have to be subcontracted or procured by the project. You must be clear on how the funding amount you're requesting has been calculated. Clear justification as to why the organisations involved in the project cannot provide the services or goods being requested through exceptional costs must be given in the application form. You must demonstrate that each exceptional cost represents value for money. Special needs support can also be requested, but it must be motivated and clearly explained in the application form. Special needs support cannot be claimed after application stage. Therefore, you must claim for it in the application form if you think there is a high possibility it will be needed to support participants with disability to take part in a mobility activity. Another budget category you can apply for is learning, teaching and training activities. These activities would need to be linked to the project's objectives. Please ensure that you apply for both travel and individual support for these activities. Learning, teaching, training activities can be funded by a number of budget categories. Please remember that learning, teaching, training activities can include blended mobility to learners and long-term mobility of youth workers. You can apply for a contribution to the travel costs of participants, including accompanying persons, from their place of origin to the venue of the activity and return. For individual support, you can apply for unit costs per day for covering the subsistence of participants, including accompanying persons, during the activity. If you plan to hold long-term mobilities, you can also apply for linguistic support. Please bear in mind that this is only available for activities lasting between 2 and 12 months. You can also apply for expensive travel costs of participants. There are lots of details in the What Else You Should Know About This Action section of the 2019 Programme Guide. Please read this carefully if you are considering applying for this. The idea is to give additional support to participants whose travel would not be covered by the travel grant. Under this category, you can apply for a maximum of up to 80% of the eligible costs. The request for financial support to cover exceptional costs must be motivated clearly in the application form. If you're considering applying for funds under this category, it is recommended that you contact the UK National Agency for more support and guidance. Next, we're going to look at some tips for your application. You can find the award criteria outlined in the programme guide on pages 111 to 112, and you can access the Experts Guide on our website. Please refer to these documents when you are writing your application form. Here you can see a few hints and tips in regards to your application. Please ensure that you choose your partners carefully and ensure that they are aware of the requirements of the project and of the funding that you have applied for. Next, we will look at how to prepare to apply. In order to apply for funding, you would need to register your organisation on the participant portal and obtain a PIC number. As a national agency, we offer support via the helpline and provide written application guidance, which you can find on the Apply for Funding page. All organisations will be required to upload new legal entity and financial identification forms to the participant portal during the application stage. You will be required to attach the following documents to your application form: Declaration of Honour, Partner Mandates, Legal Identity Form and the Financial Identity Form. For the narrative sections of the application form, you will need to think about the preparation, management and expected results of the project and also the dissemination plan. Now we are going to look at impact and dissemination. For the impact of the project, you'll be required to clearly identify the target groups of your project and how you will measure the impact of the project. The results of the project may be of a diverse nature and consist of both concrete results as well as skills and personal experiences. These results are often slightly more difficult to measure. In order to disseminate more widely, it is recommended you document experiences, strategies, and processes. You could use interviews, questionnaires, tests, observations, or self-assessment mechanisms to record this type of result. The most important thing to remember is to disseminate effectively and to have a plan. The 6 questions to remember are why, what, how, when, whom, and where. You should refer to your dissemination plan in your application and relate this to the impact of your project and the deliverables. During the project, we will recommend uploading your results to the Erasmus Plus project results platform and continue to update this during your project and contact relevant media and inform people of your project. After the project, we would again want you to upload the results to the Erasmus Plus project results platform and possibly provide us with case studies. We will just have a look at the next steps for your application form. We would suggest that you access the written guidance, call or email us, and if you haven't already, we would suggest registering for a one-to-one support call. Please remember that the deadline for Key Action 205 is the 5th of February 2019 at 11 AM UK time. If you have any questions about your application, don't hesitate to contact us on the telephone and email addresses shown on the screen. On screen now are also some social media challenges that you might find helpful.